Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Season 5 of The Boys. It was called Though the Heavens Fall, and as the episode starts, we're in a movie theater where we find the legend, played by Paul Reiser, doing cocaine in the bathroom. Apparently he's been laying low there, working under an alias. And even though she was killed last week, Firecracker returns in a movie theater promo very similar to the Nicole Kidman AMC ad. Mother's Milk pays the legend a visit and asks him about bomb site's whereabouts. Legend is surprised to hear that there's still V1 out there, thinking they destroyed it all. But Mother's Milk manages to convince Legend to help. Back at Vought, Homelander and Sage observe a trial of a new batch of V1 they're trying to cook up, but it doesn't go well, and the test subject dies horribly. Deep walks in looking for Firecracker, and Homelander tells him she's moved on to a better place, at which point Deep realizes he means she's dead. Sage then gives Deep a mission telling him to protect an oil pipeline. She wants him to shoot a PSA saying the pipeline is safe and that the fish love it. He tells her the fish don't love it, but she asks whether he cares about the fish more or Homelander. He of course says Homelander, then leaves. Sage tells Homelander that she isn't able to replicate the original V1 formula. He retorts that there's no way Frederick Vought is smarter than her and commands her to keep trying. At the boys' hideout, they're watching Oh Father's latest video. Butcher tells the gang that as soon as the virus is ready, they have to go, but Huey tries to convince him to wait. As the conversation ends, Frenchie tells them it's ready. They start to walk through their plan to deploy the virus, which starts with Annie sneaking them into the church. Huey insists on waiting so they can get the V1, but Butcher tells him they're almost out of time. Mother's Milk returns with Legend. Huey asks him about Bombsight. Legend tells him that if Bombsight doesn't want to be found, he won't be, so they have to go through his lady, Golden Geisha. She's the only one who knows how to get a message to him. She's currently at a retirement home at Vought Village, so Legend is going to pay her a visit. Sage and Ashley argue about Sage's plan, and Sage wants to know whether Ashley is on board or if she needs to pivot to plan B. She then hits her with chloroform and flips her over to talk to Bashley, telling her that she needs her to read Soldier Boy's mind as soon as possible. At Vought Villages, Legend and Kimiko find Golden Geisha and tell her they're looking for Bombsight. She tells him she hasn't seen him in years. They relay the news to Butcher and Mother's Milk, who decide to kidnap Goldie to get her to talk. Legend tells them they're being crazy, but Mother's Milk retorts that the world is crazy. Noir watches Deep's PSA about the pipeline and looks very angry. Elsewhere, Huey and Annie look out at the clouds and have a quiet heart-to-heart. Soldier Boy visits Sage and tells her the search for V1 has led to one dead end after another. After he leaves, Bashley comes out of hiding and tells Sage that Soldier Boy was lying and that he does have a lead on the V1. She tells Sage about Bombsight and that Soldier Boy is actually thinking about helping Homelander. Kimiko, Mother's Milk, and Butcher sneak into Goldie's room. She wakes up and tries to defend herself with her force field powers, but Mother's Milk is able to sedate her. They start to wheel her out, but are stopped by some elderly soups. And a fight ensues in which one of the soups uses his power of being able to stretch out his scrutinum bag with his balalaicus in it and whip it around like a bolo. Despite this, the boys make quick work of them before Frenchie gets there. Soldier Boy and Homeland walk inside what they believe is Bombsight's apartment, and there's a laptop on a table. Homelander opens it, and it plays a video of him doing weird sexual stuff with Stormfront when she was bedridden a couple of seasons ago. Soldier Boy gets mad and asks whether Stormfront really killed herself. Homelander says she did after Ryan destroyed most of her body. Soldier Boy wants to know if he locked her up in his room and made love to her amputee body. Homelander denies it and tells him he tried to keep her alive. Soldier Boy punches him in the face. And Homelander finally admits that he couldn't let her go and that he loved her, and now realizes that so did Soldier Boy, who also admits it, telling him he was with her for decades. Homelander realizes that the video is Sage screwing with them, and tells Soldier Boy that he can't find the V1 without him, though Soldier Boy at that point retorts that Homelander doesn't deserve to live forever. Huey and Annie sneak into the church. They see a wall full of pictures of psychics. They hide in a room and find Firecracker's dead body. Despite their differences, Annie is sad that she's dead. Butcher and Mother's Milk continue looking for Bombsight, but none of Goldie's numbers for him work. She really has no idea how to reach him. They leave her with Kimiko. Frenchie tells them he thinks Goldie's telling the truth, and Sage, who has found their hideout, agrees. Sage tells them she's there to help. She wants to stop Homelander. She wants him dead. Mother's Milk asks why they should trust her, and she says they shouldn't, but she already knows Huey and Annie are off to deploy the virus, and that she could have stopped them but didn't. Sage tells them that Goldie really doesn't know how to contact Bombsight, but she does. Meanwhile, Ashley delivers a statement to the press telling them there was a massive oil spill bigger than Deepwater Horizon. Deep is shown on the screen covered in oil, and there are dead fish everywhere, causing him to be distraught, especially when he hears that the fish blame him. Sage brings Butcher, Mother's Milk, Kimiko, Frenchie, and Goldie to an undisclosed location, telling them that if Bombsight sees his girl tied up, he'll come to save her. Kimiko thanks Goldie for being her role model when she was growing up, saying it meant a lot to see someone who looked like her on TV. Goldie says that she should release her then, but Frenchie says they can't until they get the V1 from Bombsight. When Goldie realizes that they're looking for V1, she starts to laugh. She tells them she'll just tell Bombsight to give it to them because she doesn't want it. She didn't take it when he offered it to her, and that's why he left. She says living forever would have been torture. Huey and Annie get inside the sanctuary, and Huey hides the virus. But they're caught by Father, who knows Annie from their childhood. The two of them argue about God and Homelander before fighting each other. Father knocks her back so Starlight isn't able to light up fast enough. Huey interrupts them with the virus. He bluffs and tells them that Annie already took the antidote, so only Father is at risk, and he lets them go. Meanwhile, Deep is crying heavily about the oil spill. Noir walks in and starts to make fun of all his dead fish friends. Then Noir admits to bursting the pipeline open as revenge for Deep killing his theater mentor and tells him that they're even. Deep says 1.4 billion fish are dead and manages to sneak attack Noir. He strangles him before stabbing him in the head, and there ends Black Noir 2. Legend gets back to work at the theater when he gets a visit from Homelander, who promptly kills his manager. Legend tells him he's not working with Butcher, reaffirming his position on Team Homelander. Mother's Milk talks to Sage, and she tells him all she wants is solitude. They have differing views on the virus, but they both ultimately want the same thing. Suddenly, there's a loud bang, and Bombsight makes his grand entrance, telling them to get away from Goldie. He threatens to kill them all, but Butcher holds a gun to Goldie's head and tells them they should talk. Legend leads Homelander back to the boys' secondary hideout, where he finds a Taco Bell receipt and believes Sage is taunting him. Homelander is then confused. He thought he was supposed to become a god, but none of what's happening makes sense to him. Legend comes to realize he's probably not leaving alive and accepts his fate. He tells Homelander that this is just how it goes. Eventually you get old and the world moves on to the next big thing. He mentions something about Vought Life Alert necklaces and how Goldie is a spokesperson, leading Homelander to realize that she might be wearing one that he can track. Homelander realizes that Legend isn't scared of him, but that he empathizes with Homelander instead. Legend tells him he's a whack job, but all talent is, so he's not surprised. He then tells Homelander to do what he has to do, preparing for his death, but Homelander lets him go. And then Homelander calls Vought for the tracking coordinates on Goldie's necklace. Mother's Milk asks Bombsight for the V1, but Bombsight says he can't hand it over. He still believes Goldie will change her mind. He asks what they'll do with the V1, and Frenchie tells him they intend to destroy it. Bombsight again declines, and Butcher tells them they're not leaving until he hands it over. Bombsight asks if they thought he was dumb enough to bring it with him, and Sage says yes, correctly recognizing that it's in his left pocket. The boys surround him and they begin to fight, and find that Bombsight is very strong, managing to handle both Butcher and Kimiko. Goldie tells him just to hand over the V1. Bombsight tries to escape with Goldie, but she uses her force field to protect Kimiko. Bombsight suddenly gets knocked back by Soldier Boy, who was summoned there by Sage. She tells him Soldier Boy is there to help. He and Bombsight hate each other and have been fighting for over 80 years. Mother's Milk wonders if they can actually trust Soldier Boy, and Sage says they can because no one hates Homelander more right now. Soldier Boy and Bombsight continue to fight. They're pretty evenly matched. Bombsight can fly and launches himself upward with Soldier Boy, and they eventually crash land in a nearby field. Soldier Boy manages to get the upper hand, and Bombsight begs him to stop before he kills him, and to everyone's surprise, Soldier Boy actually stops. Bombsight tells him he can't hand over the V1, and that even though Goldie doesn't want it, maybe one day he'll find someone who does. Soldier Boy tells him they don't need to kill each other and offers to take away his immortality and his powers so that he and Goldie can live the rest of their days together. Bombsight questions him, and Soldier Boy tells him he'll do it in exchange for the V1. Bombsight agrees and hands it over, as Soldier Boy charges up and blasts him with his radiation beam, eradicating the V1 from Bombsight's system and turning him into a regular human. And then Homelander arrives. Bombsight runs away, and the boys watch from afar helplessly. Soldier Boy and Homelander have a tense standoff as Soldier Boy takes the V1 vial out of its case. Soldier Boy brings up Clara and how she used to say the craziest stuff about how he was the strongest soup alive, but says that she was wrong because she hadn't met Homelander yet. He then gives Homelander the V1. Butcher looks on in horror. Sage is stunned, saying this wasn't supposed to happen, that it was impossible. Homelander asks Soldier Boy why he hates him, but Soldier Boy instead says he loved Clara more than he hates him, and that this is what she would want. Homelander lasers himself in the arm, cutting himself open, and injects himself with the V1. As it begins to take effect, he blasts his laser beams into the sky, seemingly unable to control it. And Butcher ends the episode with one word: run. And that's where the episode ended. So I liked this episode a lot more than the last couple. I thought it was much more impactful than what those two episodes were. We got to see Homelander have a crisis of faith in himself, and we got to see Legend sort of talk to him like a regular person and say, hey, this happens to everybody. And you can't worry about the fact that it's going to happen to you. And Homelander sort of has a moment of clarity and just says, you know what? You're treating me like a normal person. And for once, I kind of actually appreciate it, because every interaction I have with everyone else is fake in one way or another. He doesn't say this out loud, but you can tell that this is what he comes to realize, and he lets him go instead of just killing him like he usually does anyone who says anything that he doesn't like. So I thought that was really good. I like the fact that they finally found Bombsight after these episodes of chasing him and so forth and chasing the V1. They finally found it. They finally got the MacGuffin. It was, finally actually in play. And, I thought the little blurbs we got about how, he was saving it for Goldie because he wanted to be with her, and how at the same time she didn't want to take it because she didn't want to live forever because she realized that it could be a curse, were very good and powerful, and the kind of moments that were missing from the last couple of episodes. At the same time, I continue to find it odd that Sage keeps getting things wrong, keeps needing other people's help to figure things out when she's supposed to be the smartest person that ever lived. It's kind of silly. And, I guess I realized that it was kind of predictable that Homelander was, in fact, going to get the V1 right, because to end up keeping it from him would have been like a very lame direction to go in, because there's no conflict in that. There's no tension that comes from him not having it, right? There are no stakes generated by him not getting it. So I suppose that's a little bit predictable, but I don't know how much you can fault the writers for that, because they're doing it for a reason. They're doing it to show what happens potentially when Homelander is supercharged, even more than normal. But, that's the thing. They've been saying all along, well, we don't know what V1 will do to someone who's already got V in their system. So, we don't know what effect it's going to have on him. We saw that he, had a sudden burst of his laser eye thing, but we don't know what it's going to do to him. There's some speculation that it could take his powers away, which of course would be just like him not getting the V1, so I doubt that's going to happen. But, it could do anything, right? It could kill him. He could die right after this laser beam thing explosion. It could, grow him a second head. We don't know what it's going to do. So that's kind of crazy. I will be a little bit disappointed if it just ups his power level and makes him immortal. I'll be a little annoyed if there aren't any unwanted side effects that he experiences. So we'll have to see. That will come next week in the penultimate episode. The finale, by the way, is going to be released in theaters a day earlier than it's going to air on Prime. I'm going to see if I can go see it in the theater. That would be cool to see the boys on the big screen. So, I'm looking forward to maybe doing that. But for now, that's it. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.